when should you be using, if ever, a buy now, pay later scheme?
Well, yeah, good point. A lot of people wouldn't even dream of using them. However, if you know what you're doing, if you've got a regular income and you're on top of your finances, then buy now, pay later can be a nice, cheap, interest-free way of spreading the cost of something large, like say, for example, a sofa. You can pay it over 3 months and not pay any interest extra. So, for some people, if they are on top of their finances, and this is the important thing, you need to be knowing what you're doing. It can be quite a clever way of doing it quite cheaply.
But the problem is the people who aren't, Jasmine, with respect on top of their finances at this time of year, buy now, pay later, these loans that you don't read the small print and it's 75% and people find themselves unable to repay and get themselves in massive debt. Now, I hold a lot of the companies responsible. People also have to be responsible. What tips can you give to people watching this right now who are thinking, I can't even afford to get presents, I can't even afford to get Christmas lunch? What should they do?
Well, there are a lot of people in that situation. And what I would say, firstly, is be open with friends and family, because, really, there's no shame, as so very many people are struggling right now, that it's quite likely that if you say to friends and family, I'm really sorry, this year I have no money, they will say, oh, us too, we haven't got the money either. Let's not buy each other presents. Let's just concentrate on the children. Now, if you have to borrow, and as you say, a lot of people are borrowing on overdrafts, credit cards, whatever. I would say keep it as little as possible, just the minimum to keep the children going, and also explain to the children that you do want to do something good for them. We're just going to have one present this year. What's the one present you'd like? This is how much we've got £15. What would you like for £15? That sort of thing. I would say try and go to, there isn't very much time now, but try to go to one of the fair lenders. There's a lending company called Fair for All Finance, or sorry, Fair for You. They lend money for specific items, and they do it in a fair way. Similarly, credit unions, your local credit union. Now, it sometimes takes a while to be able to borrow something from them, but it's worth getting to find out where is your local credit union. These are like not-for-profit banks that are run by local people for local people, and you can get fair loans from them. Those are much better than credit cards, which are expensive. Credit cards are sort of fairly easily available, but they are an expensive way to borrow. And even overdrafts, they can be quite an expensive way to borrow if you don't really have to.
Something's gone slightly wrong, though, hasn't it, Jasmine? Because it's a quarter of us who'll be borrowing for Christmas. It's not, that's a huge number of people who clearly feel that the pressure means they've got to provide a Christmas that they simply can't afford.
Yes.
What advice would you give to someone?
Well, don't put the television on. That's
That's ridiculous. Between 6 and 9:30. Yeah.
Exactly. It's all the adverts. We have all these adverts from supermarkets, particularly with these pictures of tables groaning with food, and you're told that is the perfect Christmas.
Yeah.
Of course, there is no such thing. We know there is no such thing as a perfect Christmas. Even if you have a table laden with food,
I think it's gone to the point. We talk about pressure and advertising. We've got to take responsibility. We buy more and more and more and more and more for our kids, and we build it into that. And the world's like, listen, there was a great story this morning that I want to ask your opinion on. A certain mother somewhere, I don't know where she was, she decided she's so hacked off with everything. She's charging her family, charging her daughters £12.50, the sons who work £15. Her grandchildren are £5. This is for Christmas lunch. And even the under threes, or was it under fives? £2.50. Maybe the big tip, Jasmine Birtles, if you're coming to my house and you're not bringing anything, I'm charging you for Christmas dinner. What do you reckon? That'd finance the presents.
Well, I mean, good for her. I mean, I wonder if that's a lesson that is going to come through to the kids. I mean, on the one hand, you think, well, good for her, because it is costing. Because it's not just the food, it's the effort, it's the heating and lighting and all of that. But, ultimately, there is something a bit naff, frankly, about charging people. But I do think that if you're going to be hosting a big Christmas dinner with the relatives, who are going to be sitting there complaining because there's not enough gravy, well, they can be bringing some dishes. That's, I think, a somewhat more graceful way of doing it.
You're absolutely right. Jasmine.